Today's show is very serious, but I want to start it out with a joke. A woman walks into a bar, sits down and orders a drink. About 15 minutes later, a man walks in and sits next to her. After his third martini, he leans over and whispers, "You know, I'd really like to get into your pants." The woman smiles, looks at him and says, "You know, I'd really like that too. Then I'd have two assholes." Why a joke? Well, one reason is people have lost their sense of humor, and they've become both victims and bullies. You see this definition of cancel culture, and to me the key words are doing things that aren't socially acceptable today. Today. At the risk of sounding like an old fogey, which I just did by using the term old fogey, several generations ago, you can tell off-color jokes, no double entendre intended, or a joke involving ethnicity. But these are no longer accepted today. So the question I have for you is, why?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's an old saying some of us have heard for years. But are words truly that powerless? Today, if you are not careful, one wrong word or move could get you canceled. Its origins may date back to this song from 1981 called "Your Love Is Canceled."
Your love is canceled. Your love is canceled. Don't get mad.
But the cancel culture that we know today gained much of its traction online. Here's how it happens. A celebrity or public figure says or does something offensive. People, usually online, call it out. Then comes public backlash. It's a modern version of public shaming.
Social media has made us all more vulnerable. Before the internet, people could only badmouth you to a few folks. But social media is a mob mentality where people become part of an electronic thread and spew out vulgarity and hatred, words that they would never use to you one-on-one.
Spurred by the pent-up frustration of the lockdowns and driven by the Black Lives Matter riots, cancel culture has exploded.
The death of George Floyd at the end of May, the explosion of the BLM movement in the wake of that has turbocharged cancel culture, and it's now become almost a pandemic.
People are changing the name of cheeses, of beers, of pubs, and of anything else that has even the vaguest connection with our colonial past. A man of science and of peace as some kind of monstrous racist. Yet how can we possibly judge a man 200 years later? And who does the judging?
You know, that's a fair question. Who does the judging?
I just wanted to ask you about the statue here of James Cook. Do you think that statue should be here or not?
That, in that regard, like, if they want them down, they should be down. If, like, they don't want them there, they shouldn't be there.
Who should decide that?
The collective. Like a unanimous decision amongst the collective.
The collective? That's right. Under the rules of cancel culture, the anonymous mob make the rules, and the rest of us have to just put up with it, even if we are innocent of the charge. And in much the same way, and equally as grotesque, is the fact that cancel culture frequently targets and destroys the very people who are trying to help solve complex social problems.
It seems as though every day someone or something gets canceled. It's always the same cycle, an outpouring of outrage, of attention, of support, of backlash to the support, and then we move on.
It's a toxic thing that people are doing.
Duh. Hey, if you do anything wrong in your life,
Looking for people that are bad and looking for things that are wrong.
when I find out about it, I'm going to try to take everything away from you.
It's very toxic.
People that talk about cancel culture never seem to shut the up about it.
He's right. A lot of people talk about the phenomenon of getting canceled and what it means for free speech, the exchange of ideas for universities, the cultural and interpersonal fabrics of the United States, and even what it means to be an American, an identity arguably founded on the principle of unrestrained speech.
Someone is going to be offended by everything you say. Someone, somewhere in the world, will find what you say offensive. So what? Who cares?
Democrats straddle the narrative of cancel culture as a means by which people can be held accountable, while also discouraging
condemning people all the time.
And comedians have widely pointed to cancel culture as the main reason they can't be funny anymore, and not the stale, outdated punching down material they're still welcome to perform in multi-million-dollar stand-up specials.
What happens is everybody gets safe. And when everybody gets safe and nobody tries anything, things get boring. So I see a lot of unfunny comedians, I see unfunny TV shows, I see unfunny award shows, I see unfunny movies, because everybody's scared to make a move.
Well, let us make a move with some pretty politically incorrect humor about the insanity of cancel culture.
Sentenced to be publicly cancelled by having thy head smoked.
This will be a good one.
Yeah, love a good cancelling. She's been cancelled, yeah.
And then shat out on the bog pile of shame for the crime of saying something offensive 11 years ago.
Yeah! 11 years ago!
Let's judge past statements by a present-day perspective.
It's like saying the same thing today, kind of!
Hey, don't I get a trial?
No! This is a cancelling! No due process!
We are the jury!
Our anger makes us qualified!
Plus, we're all perfect!
Yeah, we're all perfect!
You may be granted a reprieve if you apologise.
Of course I apologise. I'm sorry that you were offended.
Sorry that we're offended? That's a non-apology!
A non-apology! That's worse than saying nothing!
Well, if apologising makes it worse, what's the point of apologising at all?
She hates apologising!
Cancel her even more!
Yeah!
Fare thee well, and may you never again utter the phrase, F*** the peasant.
He just said something bad about peasants!
I'm a peasant and I'm offended!
Yeah!
No, I said, she said, F*** the peasant.
Oh my God! He said it again!
No, I love peasants. I would never say F*** the peasant. I apologise unreservedly.
That's not a good enough apology!
I thought it was all right.
Yeah! An apology apologist! He's for apologies! Get him!
Hey, hang on, I'm confused. Are we against him for being for apologies or against her for being against apologies? Because
That's irrelevant. What matters is that you're angry.
Yeah!
But we're supposed to be cancelling her.
Well, that was whole minutes ago. Who knows? Things we say today might be offensive in the future.
She's right. You might have offended me in the future.
Well, you might be offending me in the future right now!
Pre-cancel!
Pre-cancel!
It's a pre-cancelling!
I'm told we're getting tremendous reaction to this. Has cancel culture gone too far?
Tonight, Cuomo is hitting back, denying the allegations and decrying what he calls cancel culture.
Some historians claim cancel culture is an evolved mechanism for keeping humans in check. That may be true, but the rise of social media has accelerated and weaponized it into an unforgiving cultural wrecking ball.
Think of names like Barry Weiss, Brett Weinstein, Andrew Sullivan, Rouse Douthat, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, Bill Maher. All people in the media who've made themselves synonymous with a fight against what they would characterize as a culture of diminishing free speech that has been replaced with fundamentalist pearl-clutching and bullying from, specifically, the left. And that's a key feature of how we talk about cancel culture, that it is something uniquely coming from the left, that it's primarily brown and black people on Twitter, that it's people who list their pronouns in their bios, that it's overzealous college freshmen who just got their first non-ear piercing.
It's easy to say the woke police are online saying that you use the wrong pronoun, therefore you shouldn't do X, Y, Z, right?
The latest trend of demanding that we interchange our pronouns on men and woman is confusing at best. But you simply cannot erase a half a century of language and customs immediately. Meet Mr. Peter Vleming, a beloved teacher at West Point High.
It would have been the end of the school year 2018. A student of mine, 14-year-old girl, I had had her in class the previous year, so this was the end of her second year with me, gave me a handwritten letter where she explained that she was transgender, that she had adopted a new masculine name, and that she wanted to adopt a new masculine name in French class. She asked me what I thought, and I said, we'll be fine. We'll work on a new name for French class. I didn't have a problem with using her new name. I wasn't using feminine pronouns to refer to her because I didn't want to provoke her. I understood her point of view and respected the fact that she could choose to think what she wants to think. It's not my place as a teacher to pronounce any position I might have on the subject. Third person personal pronouns, I can say this as a language teacher, they're never used to address someone directly. Okay, I don't say, "Hi Rachel, how is she going today?" I say, "Hi Rachel, how are you doing?" I use the second person pronoun. When she said this, when she came to see me and said, "I heard that you've referred to me as a girl outside of class," my response was, well, let's stop there, let's get some things straight. First of all, I like you, and I like who you are and the things that make you who you are. I'm glad you're in French class, and we're not supposed to say this, but you're one of my favorite students. Your adoption of this new identity, it's a big transition. It's a big transition, so extend me a little bit of grace. We left that meeting and she was satisfied. I was given an official reprimand for not using the appropriate pronouns, and I was told that this was the first step in a series of steps that would lead to my termination. So the morning of October 31st, that day we had class, and because it was Halloween, we had a special kind of Halloween lesson about the catacombs of Paris. We have a set of virtual reality goggles at West Point because I found a website where you could do a virtual tour with the virtual reality goggles of the catacombs. You could kind of walk through the catacombs. We went out in the hallway just outside my classroom, give them some more room, and one student wore the virtual reality headset. The other student would guide them so that they wouldn't run into things. As I'm supervising, I noticed that the transgender student, her partner's not paying attention, and she's about to run into a wall. And so as a reflex, I shouted out, "Don't let her hit the wall." And I remember at that very moment, I've actually put my hand in my mouth. I was like, shoot, you know, I've been trying to avoid female pronouns, but it's bound to happen. It was in good faith. I was trying to keep her from running into something. Regardless, by the end of the day, I get summoned to the principal's office, and I was put on administrative leave. After that week, I had to go back to see the superintendent, who had prepared an ultimatum. The ultimatum said that in order for me to be allowed back in the classroom, that I would have to proactively use male pronouns to designate this student, and that, you know, in any instance, if they suspected that I was using the name instead of he or him or his, that it would be grounds for my termination. I couldn't sign the ultimatum in good conscience, and the superintendent therefore recommended to the school board that I be fired.
Do I think that the cancel culture phenomena will end anytime soon? No, not really. But we can laugh more if we only try, like my cousin Tony, who thought he was a chicken. And we would have told him that he wasn't, except we needed the eggs. I'd like to apologize to any chicken I may have offended. If you watch my show, I promise you some surprises. I'll expose some scammers on the air and out some corrupt public officials. Take a look at the John Ligato Show. Subscribe. Semper Fidelis.